This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Tonight's Tilton Budget Committee consists of Scott Ruggles, Catherine Dawson, Bill Lawrence, Judy Tilton, and Deborah Shepard. And we can start right off with, I guess it's Don Schinberg. It's on the list from Youth Assistance Program. Good evening.
Hello, nice to see you all. I did bring some brochures of the program if anybody would like to have one.
I'll grab them.
Okay,
Put it in here.
very good. Judy, get this? Yes, sure. Judy, would you like one? Yes, please. Okay.
So, yeah, you could just, we're, I don't know if anybody needs a recap on the Youth Assistance Program. Yeah. We could just get right into your budget. I know
Okay.
there's some things are happening. Or, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a year. It has. I don't know. I can't put an adjective to it. It's been a year. Okay. The program is busy. So it's been kind of just going along. We're back to doing some things the way we used to. There's a lot more in person. There's a lot more community service projects. So that's really awesome. And I will be working at the school. I start with the 8th grade next week. So, so all of that's good. We did have a surprise after town meeting. Northfield Selectmen decided to take the grant money, which we were going to get in the first half of the year. They took that off the top of our request, and then they cut our request in half. And this decision was made in the end of May. So as you can imagine, you know, we knew that they were not totally in support, at least the selectmen were not. The budget committee supported our program in full and our request in full. So we do have a lot of support in Northfield, but the selectmen were able to make this change, and so they did. We did meet with them. We requested a meeting, and we met with them in the end of July. I think it was July 20th. And, you know, primarily just to say, you know, why, you know, how did you come to this decision? You know, especially after the town meeting vote. We did have a lot of support. Townspeople came out for it. It didn't make any changes. They really didn't, you know, yeah.
So how did that impact the budget? I mean, does Tilton get one kind of grant and Northfield gets another grant? Or is that you just get a grant which is supposed to be divided by the two towns?
We get the grant and it is supposed to be divided based on the school population,
right,
and which is the funding formula we use. However, once Northfield did that, then, you know, for Tilton, we will take it off of our appropriation request, our quarterly one. But for Northfield, it just went to fill the gap and the deficit, you know, so we did use the money from the state, at least for the first half of the year. So that was a fiscal year grant. Now fast forward to this fiscal year, and the state has said that we will be receiving $40,173 to offset the costs to the towns each year for the next 2 years. So that's really good news. All our paperwork is in. You know, the last time I emailed someone, they're like, we got your stuff done, you know, we'll let you know. So we're just waiting for the contract. So with that in mind, you know, once we get the contract, it's supposed to be retroactive to July 1. And then we will adjust that. So there's a lot going on. Bill, we did take out a PPP loan to also help with the deficit.
For this year or?
It was for this year, it was their third funding. So I think, I'm pretty sure it was the third. So we got it right off and it was for $9,000, I think $232. So that has since been forgiven. So.
And when did you receive that?
At the top of my head, I think we received that early on, like in February.
Okay, so.
And it was supposed to stretch through the end of June. So we
Okay.
used it.
Is that why Northfield made that adjustment, because you got the PPE?
No. We actually applied for the PPP loan because the selectmen had made a recommendation, Deborah, to make this cut. So that recommendation was made early on. So we met with them in January. And so as soon as we saw that recommendation, we thought, okay, what are we going to do? I mean, it hasn't happened, but it could. What are we going to do?
They made the recommendation to cut you in January before the town meeting?
They did. However, the budget committee put it in at the full amount. And I was at that town meeting to answer any questions, of course, because there was a disparity in what the recommendations were. So I was there. Nothing came up. Nothing was discussed. The youth assistance program was not questioned, and it all went through.
So your budget passed at town meeting.
Our budget passed at the Northfield town
And
meeting.
then
in
after
full,
that, they cut it?
in the end of May.
They can do that to the bottom budget. Yeah, they're not, they shouldn't, they can.
Okay, I guess I'd have to read the rules on that because
It's the bottom line.
Yeah.
it's an outside agency.
But it's a bottom line budget.
Trust
Okay.
me,
I mean, I
it's-
get the same feelings
Yeah,
you do
yeah,
about
yeah.
it,
It's been
but
looked at.
it's a bottom line
unfortunate.
budget,
It's unfortunate.
unfortunately.
Right, I always thought it was a done deal at town meeting, Bill. That's what I
Yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
thought.
It should be the will of the voters.
Most boards of selectmen listen to their voters, their legislative body.
with respect
Some
to
don't.
voters. Anyway,
So, so you had a deficit. How much was there's a deficit?
Well, they cut us $24,000.
Okay.
Okay, so we had like a $9,200
Cushion.
PPP loan.
Yeah, yeah.
We also do have funds in reserve, so we do have carryover
Okay.
funds. We do have funds for emergency, and I think that Northfield, I don't think the selectmen liked that we had any kind of funds, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to sound quite like
Sure.
that. But-
That would be fiscally irresponsible to have funds in.
Some kind of reserve.
Right, and we've explained that to them, all the way around. And one of the other things they did, and you may already know this, but I'll mention it just in case, is they decided to only pay the outside agencies twice a year. So any funding that we do get from Northfield, I don't get any until July 15th. So, I mean, that can pose a problem for a lot of.
Sure.
your cash
I
flow.
mean, you
Yeah.
have to borrow to meet expenses.
Yeah, and Bill, in the past, we haven't had to do that when it was the 3 months. We'd always have that money in
Mhm.
reserve.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So your current budget is just a little bit over last year's? Is that
Yes.
how
Well,
it's
again, last year, I think we were all kind of wondering how the year was going to go and budget-wise. So we didn't increase in some areas. So this year we have increased in some areas. So you'll see an increase in the health and in my salary and in rent. We have a super landlord. If you know Suman, he's great. And he called me and he said, oh, I'm going to raise it $25 a month. And, I was like, okay, Suman. And he hadn't increased it, I think, since he's taken over the property. So I was like,
Any questions? I guess we're good.
Okay. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
meeting with me.
Yeah.
And if you do think of anything, certainly let me know.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank
thank
you,
you, Don.
Thank you.
Okay. We have the Pines Community Center. I can pull up another chair.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Haskins. I'm a board member of the community center. Brittany was unable to attend, so we are going to do the best to fill her shoes. Not that that can be done. So let's
Thank
see.
you. Yeah. Thanks for coming. So anything you guys want to talk about your budget?
Well, I mean, some of the stuff you've already heard.
Right. Of course, I'd like to hear more about what's actually happening
Yeah.
because you hear bits and pieces, never really.
So Northfield cut our budget starting in, we found out about it in April of this past year, that they were going to be cutting our budget a total of 17,000 over the course of the entire year. And so the first hit was obviously a quarter of that, and we went back for the next quarter to ask for the full amount again. And the response that we got was pretty much around the fact that we took advantage of the COVID grants that were out there, like she said, the PPP grants, and we got those grants, and all of that money was put towards extra salary, cleaning, just general sustainability to stay open during COVID. But in the eyes of the selectmen in Northfield, it was a $50,000 amount of money that we got for free. Yes. And so that was kind of the stemming point of the conversation that we had with them. We are going back for the next quarters to again ask for the full amount and see how that goes. I mean, our plan is to go back every quarter and ask for the allotted amount that we were supposed to have and see how that goes.
And they switched us to the biannual pay.
Yeah.
So what kind of grants did you get from COVID? I know actually last year you were struggling to actually get any.
Yeah, so we got one last minute. It was, and really it fell under the emergency childcare was what allowed us to get the grant because we could become an emergency childcare facility. But with that grant, it meant we had to have more staff because our numbers had to be lower.
Right.
And obviously the cleaning was a big piece as well. And the kids were remote and our internet did not hold for kids that were trying to log in remotely. So we also had to do a huge upgrade to our internet service just to be able to sustain the remote learning for the kids. When the kids did go back, we had some kids on Wednesdays that came when it was that remote day and did their remote learning during that time. I think she has it in here, but we have consistently had probably 10 or 12 kids that were there as remote kids using the Pines Community Center as a child care facility at that point. So that was how we had been awarded that original grant. It was all spent very quickly because we had fronted a lot of the money just trying to get open for parents. So we were keeping our fingers and toes and everything else crossed that it was going to come through. This summer, we were able to run at almost full capacity, which is good. Being outside helps for sure.
Sure.
Once it gets colder and we have to go back inside, the pods and things like that, whatever the New Hampshire Health and Human Services decides to put as restrictions, we'll have to go back into place.
So this budget is a little bit up from last year's.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of that is, it's tied to people, salary,
Mhm.
health insurance. I'm sure everyone's feeling the utility jump that's happening. In those areas predominantly is where you'll see most of those increases, those first kind of three and four lines. We did have to replace our boiler this year, which was unexpected.
Mhm.
So that really
Usually is.
took a good hit on us.
How is Northfield going to go back to normal for funding?
We are asking for that.
Yeah.
As you both have just said, Deb and Catherine, that is the bottom line budget.
Mhm.
They have the ability to do what they want. I'm hoping the next time we go, they'll listen to us and only do it this year, because it's not like we are busting at the seams with savings and can last on a budget with $17,000 less than we had anticipated, especially when our busy season's already over.
Any other questions, concerns? Or-
I just have a clarifying one.
Yeah.
On your form, you filled the total filled out. I guess it's like Brittany did. Did you receive money from Belknap County? And she checked yes, but in parentheses, this is town of Tilton only. So the answer is no. You did not receive income from
From
Belknap
the
County.
county.
Belknap County.
So the.
Belknap County government.
No, okay,
Okay.
so that was a clarifying, I'm glad you
Okay.
clarified that question because that was one of the questions.
Yeah, sometimes Belknap County, I mean, we, because we're a member of Belknap County, like the other
Yeah.
counties, give them tax dollars.
Gotcha.
And then sometimes they'll fund outside agencies.
Other than the grants that we have written, like the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, stuff, the Speedway grant, and the two towns, no. So no one in Belknap County.
Did you add any new programs this year? Any, were you able to, coming out of COVID?
We added field hockey this fall. I don't think we added anything until this fall. I can't think of anything
No.
off the top of my head that was added.
We stayed, the summer was just the
summer.
summer program.
We did have an enormous amount of teenagers in our CIT program this summer, though.
Nice.
Which was great. I think she had it in here. It was like 22 kids. And that was really great. They got to experience what it's like to be a counselor. And I think that it works out good for them. She has it here somewhere. 7, I'm sorry. It was 7. 7 counselors. Okay, my mistake. 22 is the number of kids. Yeah, from Tilton. So field hockey is new this year, and that was a summer camp that ran August into the fall.
And then we have we offer field hockey as a sport, which we've done before.
And then other than that, there's nothing that's new. We're hoping to get yoga and Zumba and all of those kind of things that we're running back
Mhm.
up and running right now, but the comfort level of those clientele is not there yet. We
Some of the
respect that.
groups have started coming back, like last night, the Cub Scouts were there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cub
cool.
Scouts and Girl Scouts are back, and they have their own specific cleaning.
We did a cornhole tournament, actually. That was new too. We did that in June
Nice.
outside.
Yes,
That had, I think, 11 teams total. So that was a pretty good turnout for the first attempt at that one.
since we didn't have Old Home Day, we did that.
And then,
So
yeah,
if we
I
do
think
Old
that's
Home Day,
it.
maybe we'll get it back.
We started our Halloween events, again, trying to limit as much as we can. So
No
we'll have,
Halloween party, but we're doing gift bags.
we're doing the gift bags for kids to pick up, the coloring contest. We did the pumpkin carving.
Yeah.
Are you doing any hall rentals anymore?
Yes, we've started to, in July, we started offering hall rentals. Did go up on the price a little bit because of cleaning.
You and everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, we use the train station for 2 things and they jumped up. But Because of COVID.
Yeah.
Do you still send out your, I don't remember what you called it, but whatever is happening this month?
The Pines Times, yeah.
Yes. Pine
So that
Time.
just started again in September, so there should have been, you should have received one if you were on the mailing list in September. And then there was one last night at our meeting that she said, I believe, went out or was going out for October. I want to say she said it went out. 'cause it has the craft fair and stuff on it.
Yeah. And that, yeah, because that was also in the news from North, because it went to the town. of Northfield, so they should have gotten it.
Yeah. And now that our events are starting to happen, we're going to start doing the Facebook posting of the events, making the actual event, because we seem to get good traction when we make an event. People can share it and do things like that, so.
But you
kind of-
still send out the email?
Yes.
Could you send
Yeah,
it to me?
absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
Thank you. It was very handy.
Not very far.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Great, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Congratulations. A new baby?
A new baby, yeah. So exciting. Looks like he's a month old already.
Where is that?
He is a big.
So Beth Hayward had a cold, and I just figured it would be better not to have her in, just because it's not good for her to be out with a cold, but, and plus all the other things.
The road,
we reschedule when we know.
Sure, yeah.
we live in.
Huh?
It's the world we live in.
Yeah, so I guess we have the minutes to go over. Under 29. And Lisa, you got the other, Lisa, Rosemary Welch was the other woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the last page, under 2021 expense/encumbrances, it says, the chief made as met. Is made just an extra word? Just an extra word that, pardon?
Tim sent me that part.
That's why he's a numbers guy, not an English guy. I would just say, that I would edit just chief or the chief met with the board.
I don't know if it's supposed to be her name.
Nope, you're right.
Just really made me read it 3 times.
Any other corrections or additions? I'll move that we accept the minutes with the correction.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Deborah, abstain, and Scott. abstains, okay. All right, so we get some other information. We've got Frank McGinnis sent us a breakdown of service, town service comparison, which we had asked for. And, anybody know anything about the blood pressure clinics?
Pardon?
The blood pressure clinics that we have 5 in Tilton for some reason.
I wasn't aware of any
They
blood
probably be
pressure
in
clinic.
senior center.
Senior center, yeah, and that would be, would
They
that
don't
be,
put it out there?
would that be open to everyone, any town? Because no other town, I mean, Laconia only has 3, Franklin has 6. But
I mean, are you limited to being a Tilton resident to go to the senior center?
No.
no,
So I mean, anybody could do the. blood
Sure.
thing.
sure, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Who sponsored them? The VNA? Wonder
I
why
was
they
just
don't put
curious.
it out there.
It does say, I think, somewhere that the
Was it completely free?
I don't know anything about them really. They didn't really mention that, I don't think. Still seems to me that we're paying a little more than anybody else in comparison. I mean, most of Northfield numbers are, I'm not sure what the abbreviations mean. What does HHA mean? And there's MSW, OT, PT. Anybody know what those mean?
Occupational therapy, physical therapy,
Okay, yeah, occupational therapy,
physical therapy.
physical, RN would be nursing.
Registered nurse.
Yeah. How about HHA?
Yes.
Home health aid, maybe?
Home health aid,
Oh,
And
yeah,
then-
that makes sense.
MSW, Masters of Social Work.
That sounds. right.
Yeah.
But I don't know, these are people that have met with people here. I'm not sure how they work. Then there's homemaker.
So it looks like they hold, it says here on their website that the blood pressure clinics speak 3rd Tuesday of every month.
at the senior center.
at the senior center. And then they list the other towns. Salisbury, they do it the first Thursday of every month. Laconia Senior Center first Tuesday. They do the third Thursday at the Pines, fourth Tuesday at the Trip Center in Franklin. So they're covering Salisbury, Laconia, Northfield, Franklin, and Tilton. One time a month. So
So how do they come up with the amount appropriation?
I'm not sure, that doesn't make any sense to me on their numbers here.
well, if that's from last year, I'm sure they did. I guess they did not do 12 during COVID. That's-
Right.
I'm going to speculate that they probably didn't do 12 in person.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
And I know, we know the senior center wasn't open for a number of months.
Well,
Right.
they could have. Because I have to do that. And it's not by choice.
So when
I
they
have
talk,
to, so.
That's speculation.
when they talk
You know
about
what I
the
mean?
I know.
total
So they might have.
visits, and like Tilton and Northfield are pretty close in the total visit numbers, but the actual amount of money is substantially different.
Well, that's what I'm
Is
saying.
it because of the type of visit?
Right.
A certain visit's more expensive than others?
I guess we should
You know what I'm
ask
saying?
for a little bit more. We could actually use that as a talking point if we sent them a letter saying for Northfield's 762 visits, they paid $5,000. For our 1634 visits, we paid $12,572. We're just curious what makes that difference in the money.
How it's calculated, yeah.
Yeah, how's that?
Also, if you look at these towns by population, it really slants away.
Well, Franklin visits, they were like 4 times as many visits. They only pay about twice as much. So,
795.
yeah. So that's something we can ask for some information on. Now, in the new beginnings, was this for this year or last year? Because it's the 36 they had last year too.
Not sure, you would ask.
Because there's no date on there.
Right, it was whatever you would ask them.
Maybe we could ask them again.
I got it.
Because we had that here, we asked Shauna will send a breakdown to how many Tilton residents are being serviced right now. Because it looks like, yeah, for this current year, so it's the same amount as last year, I guess.
Can we just confirm with them that it is this year? Because if it's the same number.
Yeah, they don't
it's
have it on
this year.
here. Okay. So let's see, do we want to vote on anything? I guess we have to wait for Franklin and New Beginnings. Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, we should
We
wait for the
voted on
information.
most everything already, haven't
We
we?
voted on a lot.
Do we have to vote on the times or are we waiting for more information?
Oh, we could discuss that, yeah.
It was LRMDC as well.
Like choosing
Oh,
mental
Lakes
health.
Region Mental Health, yeah.
We can vote on Birch Hill Kennel.
What?
Well, it's one of those, the town has to have a place to put strays. We have to have a town pound.
How about
Oh,
Lakes
straight animals.
Region Planning? Do we vote on that too?
We could.
I mean,
That we don't have to.
we don't know
vote on
what they're asking for yet, do we?
30.
I didn't have
No,
any
we
info
don't.
on that either.
I think you had some information on the Pines that you said they said something about Belknap County funding. Where was
In
that?
in our
Yes.
form that they filled out, they circled yes. do you get money from Belknap County? So they circled both of them, but in parentheses, they said.
Oh, I see.
Tilton
Town of
only.
Tilton only. Yeah, yeah. Okay, now I understand.
They
That-
were thinking
I
of
was wondering.
county as an entity, they were thinking
Correct.
Tilton
Right.
is in Belknap County.
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
Yeah, it took me a minute. So,
So far we have approved the Hall Memorial Library, right? Old Home Day, Park Cemetery, because Lakes Region is 3531, which is basically a contract for their services for the entire year, right?
I'm sorry,
Lakes Region Planning,
yes.
and it's,
I don't know what it is for this year. Like you, I did,
oh yeah, that's, oh, that's,
there's no request.
they don't
amount.
have
Same
one?
with Birch
okay,
Hill.
right, right.
I think the town services are going out to bid because they're 3-year contracts on Birch Hill. I'm pretty sure that. I'll find out.
So you have the Humane Society, the entity in Franklin has always refused.
Are there other facilities in Tilton that can
Yeah,
bid?
well, Moonlight Kennels up on.
Oh, they're willing to?
Well, they were just sold, so.
Yeah, apparently,
Right.
so that's what we heard.
It's nice to have new bidders in the
Yeah,
pot.
that's why.
More
we're
choices.
going.
I would still approach Franklin
Nice.
Shelter because they've changed a lot of things on their board in the last few years.
And they expanded.
In
Yeah.
Franklin, they have?
Yeah, they're much
love
more active,
competition.
so they may be willing.
Well, it's nice when you have the ability to go to these other places and really get, the best deal.
Thank you.
Can you find out as a selectman if Lakes Region Planning is continuing all their services, cutting some services?
I don't think it's you.
I'm hoping it's Lisa because that'd be.
Okay, good.
Okay, that's Franklin,
Sewer
that's
commission.
sewer.
Mr. Hannah.
Getting my phone out.
Okay, so the Lakes Region Mental Health Center. The town's comprised of like 2% of their entire budget. I would prefer actually to send something out as a service to the taxpayers, same way that they do that with the little, in lieu of paying them money, actually. It's just actually giving them some, not promotion, but,
Free publicity?
publicity that they are an important service that, you don't always know that it's out there. So if we sent one of the tax bills, that would be reaching a lot more people. I mean,
You're not
that
supposed to put anything in your tax bills.
we do.
The town of Tilton does.
Tim-
evidently.
Tim says they put a little brochure in there.
Anything in your tax bills.
That's what I said.
Some people in the state of New Hampshire might have a problem. Anything in your tax bills.
Yeah, I thought that things only went out through when we sent out the town newsletter. That's what
Yeah,
the
tax
impression
bills are
was in the
supposed to-
meeting when we talked about not with the tax.
And she does send out registration notification.
That's different, it's not.
Yeah.
tax
So
bills.
It could go
we
out.
could do that with
It
something
could go
like
out
that. Yeah, or town dump sticker or
I
something
would
like
check,
that.
I would check with the motor vehicles if you put anything in the flying. You gotta be really careful about.
Yeah.
Well, we could just
Excuse me.
do a plain mailing
You could.
with the services of the town and these other
Or you can
community
hand it out.
agencies that are there for your help.
Well,
Or you
especially-
can hand it out at town meeting.
I was gonna say, they in the back of the town report. I mean, that's a place too, put it in the back of the town report, a page there. Do we have a resource page on our website?
There's a lot of pages on the website.
That really is a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah,
But you could put a
I've been
page at
working
the,
on the same website for years and I
you
still
could put a
can't
page in
find
the end of your
it.
town report that just says these are the services available for Tilton
The
residents.
thing that
Phone
not
numbers and names.
everyone gets a town report. I mean, that's the
Shame on
issue.
them.
What
They
I'm
should
saying
come
is
to
that
town meeting.
this will go to every household that pays taxes. And,
Okay, on that note, then look at how many of our rental people would need this service. How do we get that word from them?
well,
Because if we're
that
sending
would
it
be
to
the
the landlord.
taxpayer, the landlord would be responsible for,
Not everybody's
Well,
your
yeah,
kind of
but
landlord.
some of his landlords.
You were pretty optimistic.
I say not
Well, no, I
everybody's
mean-
your kind of landlord.
I mean, it's still gonna reach a lot more people than any other way, you know? But I'm just saying,
I mean, if you put it on your website, you put it in your town report, you do a postcard. I mean, you could-
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, giving them $3,000, I just don't know how that improves the people's ability to use their services. I mean, that's my opinion, so. Any other reflections on the Lakes Region Mental Health Center?
I was gonna vote 0. It just, I believe it was they that said they didn't. They seemed, our small portion of our donation to them seemed insignificant.
Well, I mean,
They
their
downplayed it.
finances are really good.
Yeah,
That's
they
the other thing
downplayed it,
that-
so
I noticed
they don't really need it.
they've really increased and reduced some of their costs and increased their, from what I remember reading on their financials. They didn't really seem like they really needed it.
Well, when do you share that, do you share all your services with your general assistance director too, so they can get that information out to people? Because that's huge. Like when people come in for assistance, she should have a list of organizations to send them to.
Oh,
And this should be on the list.
I'm sure she does.
But I think.
I don't know, well, when we usually interview her and could see that, talk to her about that.
Usually that's, one way to get out to people in need when they come in for help.
That's frontline.
You share it.
But I don't know how many tax bills we sent out or what that mailing list is, but it must be, well, no, what
I
I'm
heard
saying,
that.
that mailing lists,
Or you can just use
for
your
the
assessment.
taxpayers.
You can print labels from that, sure.
Sure. Yeah. There must be 1,000 or something, right? Couple thousand. Just seeing it's more of a mass marketing approach, but because I feel guilty cutting them, not giving them anything, so I would rather gives them some
Something in kind instead of.
in kind,
putting
exactly.
3,000, get their name, get their word out.
Right. But we can just discuss that later. I mean, any other feelings about the $3,000? Yes, no?
I'm okay with doing in kind instead of, it's that insignificant, why not? I'm okay with that.
Okay, well,
Bottom line is very healthy.
they have a very good.
It is.
Very healthy bottom.
Right, right.
That's the way I see it.
So I'll make a motion that we not pay the Lake Street Mental Health Center $3,000, but consider an in-kind donation.
Ruggles second.
Any other discussion?
My only thing would be if you're gonna do a mailing, where you're gonna take that money out of. That's all.
Yeah, it would probably be in with another mailing. So if they do a
I think we,
a newsletter
I think if we asked to add it
to a newsletter, yeah.
And also give them the digital footprint. The
Sure.
websites.
So you would put like a blurb in the actual newsletter?
I
You just put a little box.
Yeah.
put a little box just.
With all the different groups that we
maybe like a back page that
Yeah,
somebody
well-
can cut out. Remember the olden days, you would have that one little page and you would hang it by your phone?
Right, yeah,
Yes,
that's
I mean,
what I'm
yes,
thinking, yeah.
I
We
love
do
that
that, like the
page.
service is available.
And I
It was
would,
cardboard.
so I would include in that, in kind, I would include CASA, Future in Sight. I suppose Red Cross. We don't even have that, but, and Child and Family Services, Waypoint. Those are all, they're nonprofits that are there for the community. And, I mean, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but that would be a recommendation from the budget committee to do
Agreed,
that.
and, you know, I mean, maybe it could be, as we're seeing the back page, where it's the primary contacts business card.
Yeah.
It just becomes a photocopy.
I mean, in the sense, CASA needs people, they're looking for helpers.
Yeah.
That could be something we could put out there. So,
I think that's a good idea.
And if you did like a postcard or
Did you
something with
include-
all that on it, you could hand it out to all the local real estate agencies to
Sure.
give to people coming into
yeah,
town.
yeah.
Did you include the VNA?
No, that's, we're gonna vote on that later.
No, I meant to.
Oh, yeah, they could be on there too, sure. Yeah,
It's one of those
so,
agencies that serves from 2
sure,
days old to 120.
right.
Don't
Yeah.
want that long.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, great. All right, so what else have we got here? Now, the youth assistance program, which we saw tonight, their actually request is down from last year. 46,105. Brilliant, this is what I have to shoot here.
I don't have that. And I
Should
couldn't-
have it.
I couldn't print it out.
Is
You're
it?
the only one who said you couldn't print that.
Oh, I can't
That's
print.
the one I said.
I'm sorry, I can't print out Excel.
Oh, you can't.
No, my computer won't bring it up for some reason.
But
It's all about it.
I think you handed this out here. That's when I got this. This was a long time ago.
Oh, you're talking about this. I thought you yeah.
Yeah, that,
You should have one. 'cause I think you were-
yeah,
We did this a couple meetings ago.
yeah.
It's also on the drive. I don't know.
You have a copier up here, we can make you a copy. Mine's all written on, but Bill's doesn't look bad.
It's kind of a neat-
Did you make a copy of it?
Sure.
right, too.
Two,
Make a couple.
anybody else?
Mine's all written on, sorry.
Mine is written on too, but not extensively.
I am print out a new copy for the next meeting. There's some updates in it.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Want to use my phone for that?
So anyone want to make a motion on the youth assistance program?
I'll make the motion, but you should all know I'm on their board of directors.
Then you probably
You
should.
probably shouldn't do that.
Well, it's,
I'll make a motion to approve the $46,105 for youth assistance program.
Second.
Judy Tilton seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, great.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, great. Catherine is abstaining.
So they need to make the motion then, huh?
Yeah, right.
Well, I could still abstain from the vote.
Okay, so we'll wait on the community action, visiting nurse, new beginnings. So,
What's going on with island concerts? I just see a question mark there.
someone was,
I just actually, I emailed Titus the application, so I'm gonna give him a.
someone was gonna talk to him. Was
Just
it-
a minute.
Joe
Jessamine?
Joe is nudging him.
Okay, all right.
So
Because
that's
Bill
where I
sent
can
me
use.
his info and said send him the app. So I
Okay,
did that.
great.
I just want somebody
So you're going to
know.
talk to Titus directly? He's a very nice man.
Yeah.
Not that that matters, but
Okay, so the other things that are on the list, we have the recreational council. Should we maybe cut them 25%?
So last
Just
year,
just kidding.
why does it look like they requested more than they got? What happened with that? 2021. My eyeballs aren't reading it right. Let me get my little light on.
They're requesting more this year.
No, but in 2021, it said they requested 69,750 and got 67,250. Is there a reason? It's like 20,
Approved? Oh, yeah, I see.
$2,500?
$2,000 difference.
$2,500 difference, right?
Oh, I see, yeah.
I'm just
I don't have my
curious.
glasses on.
It looks
And the
like
same
this-
thing happened the year before, 2020 and
yeah.
2021.
So you level funded them, that's what you did.
I guess that's what we did,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's, I vaguely remember that.
Okay.
So.
So they're asking the same amount they've asked for the last 2 years.
Right. Let's see.
So I'll make the motion to approve the council at 69,700. Conversation started.
Second.
Scott seconds. Let's see. So should we look at the,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Did you suggest level funding again or
no, 60.
the requested amount?
69,700.
One of those phones.
What is your flip phone, doesn't have a flashlight? The lighting in here is awful.
Yeah.
Always has been.
I say we put some money in the budget to improve the lighting.
I say no, bring a flashlight.
I am.
We can all have a little banker's light.
I brought this little book light, but it's
Little
not bright
bankers.
enough.
Oh, that's cute.
It's not bright enough.
Okay.
So. I mean, I think they've done fairly well trying to get climb back out of the COVID. Cost of everything's going up.
Did you see the social security COLA they're proposing this year? 6.2. That's huge.
Is it?
Cost of living.
Yeah.
And remember, the cost of living is based on city living. No, it is. It's
Yeah.
based on Chicago, Boston, New York, San Francisco, LA. Then they take an average.
Well,
Are they still giving, didn't youth assistants say that they had applied for another PPE grant?
well, they're getting a grant from the state.
Yes, that's a different though, but I
Yeah.
thought she said that or somebody said, anyway, are PPE grants still available or are the feds done with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a good grant last year for the childcare. So that's what,
Yes, they
50,000.
did say they did.
But,
Yeah.
you know, they get grants, but all their costs went up with all the extra things they had to do.
Sure,
So it wasn't just found money.
Right.
It wasn't a bonus. It was.
right.
I imagine their cleaning must have been
They
nuts.
got a PPP loan in February.
Right. That helped cover some of the cut that Northfield was.
No, we're still on the plan. We have a motion and a second.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I still think they can make up the difference by increasing their fees. When you go down there to an event and whatnot, you pay some out of pocket.
Right.
I just think with the year they've had, I would like to show that we support them.
Yeah, I don't think $2,000 is a whole lot of difference. Been in their budget for the last 3 years. But
You start cutting it out of our budget, each one adds up.
I guess, are we ready to vote or anybody want to talk about this more? See, Scott's still studying over there.
I'm just looking at just the projected increases.
Okay, we'll just run it by all those in favor of giving the recreational council, the Pines Community Center, $69,750, $69,750. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
You mean nay?
Well, nay, but they always say aye. I
Oh,
oppose.
you're abstaining? Okay, so we have 3 yes votes, Catherine Dawson, nay vote, and Judy Tilton, a abstention. So that carries.
You still think it?
Okay, so we have Lockmere Village District, which you can't work with right now. Tilton Sewer Commission, that's also we brought forward. Sort of that I don't think costs us anything this now situation. Silver Lake Association, Catherine, what's that about?
That must be milfoil.
It's
I still don't know.
Yeah, Silver Lake Association used to be the beach people. I think now that's the milfoil, but it's our milfoil account. So I don't know why the request would be coming. We don't pay it to an outside agency. We put it in our reserve account that the Conservation Commission manages.
Is that why these are a different color?
So
We should just ask the selectmen for timelines on, and more, any more information on these, because I think they have all that information.
let's ask Tim about the Silver Lake Association.
And Birch Hill Kennel, again, Scott, you were saying that's coming
I
up.
will double check tomorrow night with that and Lakes Region.
And I have green committee written down. Is that something we talked about in the previous meeting?
That's typically,
What is
what,
it?
$1 for
What is
green.
Green committee?
it?
That Tim can also describe.
I have it written in like we talked about it.
Yeah, it's,
It's been
just that-
hanging in there for 10 years.
I'm the new guy.
I think it's, resolved. I mean,
Now,
something
Warm
like
Woodrow, I think was the last
Earth Day
time
or
we got
something, I think it's
Oh,
something
okay.
in that kind of celebration.
It's just in case,
Just keeps it warm.
I guess.
Burn it up.
Personally, I'd eliminate it.
That's usually what we do, yeah. Now, I'm not gonna be here the last week of October. I'm taking a vacation.
Another one?
This time it's a whole week.
Do you want to meet next week?
So,
Or is that too soon?
it's up to the board if they wanna meet next week, or do you have a conflict with next week?
What's next week? What's the
20th.
date? 20th? Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a meeting at 3.
Oh, so you might be done by,
I may or may not. You never know.
I'm not sure what we have to work on.
So have to meet with Cap still.
Okay,
to reschedule
okay, great.
for, and I'll call for walk here, so he just comes in.
Okay, so would it be all right to set that up for next week?
Yeah, if I can't make it, then
Sure.
anyway, just excuse me.
Sure.
I won't be here.
You won't be here either? Okay. Any other people not be able to
Just-
hear? So hopefully Christine can make it.
I'll be here.
Yeah, so if we have the 4 here and just meet with, see if Cap can make it.
Yeah, does Titus usually come in?
No, he lives
I
in
think it's
Florida.
just a single
Oh,
paper.
okay. That was
Yeah.
It's just a paper.
Sure, right.
Have we voted on Park Cemetery?
We did.
Yeah, we decided there wasn't any difference from year to year. So we've really
I mean, yeah,
voted on most everybody except.
it's one of those things we
Cap.
have to have.
Yeah.
And then it'll just be when Tim is available, he'll come in and see the other ones.
He's not going to be available for the next 2 weeks.
Right. And then next one you're out.
Right. He won't be available that week that I'm out either.
Yeah, he's out
And next week he's
next
out.
week and then the following.
Yeah, so it won't be till November.
So November 3rd will be our meeting after the
He
20th.
said
Right.
he'd have a budget for us
Yeah, hopefully that's,
November 1st, which, so the 3rd is our Wednesday.
Right.
Are we gonna start meeting every week in November?
well, if we have something to meet about.
Yeah, well, gonna hold him to his word.
Yeah, we need to get the town in here, so we start hammering on them. Okay, so we'll meet next week and see if there's any more, as long as Cap can make it.
Yep, and I'll see if Paul can come in.
And if we can get the other information from,
Visiting nurse.
yes. And new beginnings.
Yeah. And then so you'll vote on the rest of them next week as well.
What was that?
You'll vote on the rest of those, and then you have the information next week.
if we can, yeah, if we can make a decision next week, we could vote on this, yeah. Because we can always vote again later, but we're not bound to any of these votes right now. Okay, any other business? Motion to adjourn is ordered.
Second.
Okay,
There you go.
great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was fast.
Thank you, everyone. Very efficient.
Faster, John.